Test 1 2, testing 1 2. Hey, everybody. Welcome to a Saturday afternoon live down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill, which is down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. And it's a great Saturday down here. We got graduations going across the street there at Tropicana Field. Of course, you know the Rays are out of town. They're currently in the very middle of a 4-game set. They're in the Bronx versus the New York Yankees. Game 3 is actually getting ready to start in about 25 minutes. And so you got the graduations coming over here to join some of this great fare and some of this fun, some of this ambiance, if you will, over here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. And really, I haven't had a chance. I got a chance to talk to Peter Blake and Mr. Harry DeGreet the other night for a very brief moment on Thursday night after the NFL releases the 2023 Buccaneers schedule. So I wanted to know, maybe y'all could share with me today, what sticks out about this 2023 schedule for you Bucs fans? Is it the fact that, we saw it last season? We got 2 on the road and 2 at home, or 2 on the road and 1 at home. And the Bucs start off early in the season as they're trying to find that new offense with Dave Canales. And is it Baker Mayfield? Is it Kyle Trask? As the Buccaneers are trying to find their identity early in the 2023 season, we got some blocks of games at home. And then, of course, Peter Blake and I were talking about this the other night. Got that integral late in the season there. You got the games on the road, especially of the last 3 weeks. I mean, we play starting on November 19th. We're at the 49ers, 4 o'clock game. Then we're in Indianapolis against the Colts. We come home for a quick little divisional game against the Panthers, and then boom, back on the road in Atlanta versus another divisional opponent, the Falcons, and then playing Green Bay late in the season. What are your thoughts, guys and girls, on this 2023 season? Or do you have thoughts? The Rays are still at 30-10. The Rays are still 20 games above 500. And Rizzo, boy, puts a stake through the heart last night. Rays score. They have that lead 4-3 in the 8th inning. You're going into the 9th. You're pretty much sure this is the way it's going to end. Rizzo hits that run, scores that run. The Yankees end up beating them. So the Rays are still 20 games above 500. It's a cup array from down here at world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. I hope you found your beach already this early in this weekend. Mother's Day weekend. Another reason why it's such a special weekend. It's a cup array. I'll see you guys and girls on the other side. Everybody, sorry. I do it every time. I get done with that opening. We do the little opener, if you will, right before I cut it to my show opener. And then I cut it to the show opener. And I'm like, every time I'm starting this thing, I'm like, don't forget to share the show. Who am I going to share the show to? I want to try to get it out there because the most important thing about these for me is trying to get that live interaction. And I love it. I got a comment in here already. I'll put it right up on screen here. Mickey Delaney says, morning, Ray Kennedy. Mickey, good morning, brother. I can't tell you how much I appreciate. First comment goes to you. Tell me, Mickey, what about this 2023 NFL schedule or the Buccaneers schedule stood out to you? Is there anything about it that you thought? Because the Bucs are playing a first-place schedule, You go back to 2022 and we make that joke. 8-9, but the Bucs backed into the NFC least. I'm kidding, it's the NFC South, but they back into winning that division. And you love the fact that the team, regardless of how you do it, because whether it's 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you're going to be able to say that in 2021 and 2022, your Buccaneers won back-to-back divisional champions, or divisional, they won a division back-to-back for the first time in team history. And I posed that in 2023, the Buccaneers are going to lock it down for the 3rd consecutive year. Let's see here. Tim Haynes. Hey, Tim, what's up, Ray? What up, Tim? Thanks for coming in. So you guys and girls know how I love to do this. I'm like, just let's set the camera up, let's take it live, and let's see what happens. I'm supposed to have the Rays game starts here at 1:05, and I just talked to Jake down here. Jake and I talked to Coach, of course, the owners here of the world famous First Sports Bar and Grill, and we have these graduation parties going on. So many people dress so nicely because just across the street there at Tropicana Field, we have those graduation ceremonies going on for St. Pete College and a couple of the high schools. And I said, so we're going to have the game on live, and Jake's like, yeah, that's how we do down here at the world famous First Sports Bar and Grill. So it might get a little crazy, but I'm all about that. Of course, here's my guy, Harry the Greek. Harry and Nick the Greek approved this message. Brother, good. Nick, good to see you in here. Harry, thanks for doing my sound check for me. What is it about? Because I'll tell y'all right now, I was kind of alluding to the fact, of course, the Buccaneers, we knew they were going to play a first-place schedule this season. As we try to get this new offense and develop this Dave Canales and what's going to go on here. And on the offensive side of the ball, I think we all kind of know what's going to go on the defensive side of the ball. But you're looking at the schedule, and in case y'all, I'll just read over it real quick here. I see a few of you. Don't be afraid to comment. Oh, another comment. Please keep the comments coming, guys and girls, because keep me from going off on a tangent. And let's hear what you guys and girls have to say. Tim Haynes says, I think the D will be much better, and same with the run game. And I'll tell you what, Tim, thank you so much. And this is exactly why you proved my point. You proved my point out. Because let's go to those early games early in the season. And I hear Degree's going to laugh at this one. But I skip over the first game. Of course, the Bucs are at Minnesota against the Vikings, start the opening weekend, right? But then we come home against the Bucs, or Bears, I'm sorry. And then we come home against that week later against a primetime game against the Philadelphia Eagles. And then, of course, the Bucs go on the road to the New Orleans Saints. And then we come home and play against the Lions and the Falcons. Those are also 1 o'clock starts. And I'll tell you why, Tim, why that comment is so important. Because unlike in last season, when we had an offense that couldn't find their running game, couldn't find their way out of a wet paper bag to get a running game going, and it showed in the fact that the defense were so predictable on the offensive side, which made it exponentially easier for these defenses to cover this Buccaneers offense. You get that running game going in 2023, like I think we all know is going to happen here with Dave Canales, and the fact that this team's going to double down. They're going to redouble their efforts to find that running game. And now all of a sudden, that 1 o'clock game against the Bears, September 17th, 1 o'clock. No, I'm not saying these other 31 teams in the National Football League don't condition, but now it's taking me back to old school Buccaneers, right? 1 o'clock games, teams coming in here. And if we played our brand of football, clock control football, by halftime, third quarter, the other team's defense, the Bears, maybe that prime time against the Eagles. 2 weeks later with the Saints, with the Lions in here, and then Atlanta coming in here. And I know hot Atlanta is almost as hot as it is down here in Tampa Bay. But you get that running game going, you sustain those offensive drives, and unlike last season, when the Green Bay Packers came in here and flipped the script on us, because if you guys and girls remember that last season against those Green Bay Packers, by halftime, Buccaneers were like this. I mean, they were gassed. They were looking for IVs, looking for oxygen. And I was like, what bothered me so much about that is because the narrative here in Tampa Bay, because it is so hot and it can be so humid, especially in September here in Tampa Bay, we were always using that to our advantage. And because of a lack of a running game in 2022, it was actually flipped to script time and it was getting used against us. That's how the Green Bay Packers beat us last season. So, Tim, 100% great comment, brother, as always. Mickey Delaney says, I'm a Seattle Seahawks fan, but I think the Bucs will do. Okay, so do me a favor, Mickey. Tell me, and I appreciate you, bro. Tell me, being a Seattle Seahawks fan, what can Buccaneers expect? What can we expect from Dave Canales? Of course, I know he was the quarterbacks coach out there, locking it down though under Pete Carroll for quite a few years. So we know the brand, we know the discipline type of football he's bringing in here. But Mickey, tell us, what can we expect for the Buccaneers to get that running game going in 2023 as Kyle Trask begins his Hall of Fame career? I'm kidding. I had to throw it in there. Y'all know I had to do that. Mickey says, hi, Tim Haynes. Yeah, no, go back and forth, baby. I love it. Tim Haynes says, hi, Mickey. Awesome, guys. I love it. Mickey says, how are you? Now, Mickey, you're talking to me or you're talking to Tim? Me, I'm fine down here. Because I'll be honest with you, I was supposed to go on the Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection with Mike Rickard and Ben Botham and Big O over there. They're locking it down with the radio coverage. They're like on 6 or 7 different radio stations here in Tampa Bay and across the entire country, talking Pee Wee's preps to the pros. But I think Big O said he's going to talk basketball there at the end of the show. I was going to go on from 1:30 to 2 with the guys. Love talking sports. I know, right? Surprise. But they're going to talk basketball. maybe I'll just step back and keep it over here with you guys and girls because I'd rather talk Buccaneer football and the Rays, who are still 20 games above 500, and that game starts out here in just about 20 minutes. Tim Haynes says, "Go Bucks from down here in Nicaragua." Oh no, I'm sorry. That's Greg Maselli. Greg, I'm sorry, from Nicaragua, brother. Thanks for tuning in. Share the show down here. I'm trying to cover I'm trying to get South America covered with Cup Ray, and I appreciate anything you can do. So again, just looking at the schedule. So, like I said, the Buccaneers, they play that first game at Minnesota, then we come home for 2 weeks in a row. That's fan friendly. That's team friendly. A little bit of home cooking. Then we go on the road to New Orleans against the Saints, who a lot of. Let me ask you guys and girls this: why all of a sudden is it Atlanta Falcons are supposed to be the biggest threat for the Buccaneers to win their third consecutive NFC South? I get it. Arthur Smith, Kyle Pitts, they're locking it down. They got Jonnu Smith now. He's bringing over all these defensive coordinators from New Orleans there in Atlanta. Arthur Blank, the Home Depot guy. The Falcons have shown Ritter, the quarterback. The Falcons have shown they've got a little bit, but to me, Dennis Allen and those New Orleans Saints and Derek Carr and then, Robinson. So now you got a New Orleans team. Why all of a sudden all my DMs and all my DMs? Why are you popping in my DMs? Why all of a sudden all the narrative I'm seeing is it's all the Atlanta Falcons? Are the Atlanta Falcons? Let me ask you guys and girls this. Girls and guys this. Are the Atlanta Falcons really the Buccaneers' biggest foe here to try to win that third consecutive NFC South in 2023? I don't know. You tell me. And then we got Frank Reich and Bryce Young going on there, and pretty good offensive line, pretty good defense there in Carolina. But why all of a sudden was it the Atlanta Falcons? I can give you 28-3 reasons why. Mickey Delaney says, "I think he'll be good fit, and I shared the show, brother. Thank you, Mickey." And I mean, you back and forth. And don't forget, I'm also if y'all want to do me a favor. The bit rate, the resolution's a lot higher. The bit rate's a little faster. Go ahead and follow my YouTube page, and I'll share it on my Facebook page later. Just go over there. All you got to do is subscribe. I'm never going to hit you with anything but a good show or something that I think you girls and guys are going to want to see. But follow me on YouTube so that we can do it anytime I go live, even if I'm having trouble getting to the Facebook. Sound like, oh man, getting to Facebook. I'm always going to be over on YouTube. I shared it on my YouTube page today. And I know, Mickey, I know you and I were talking about this week. You subscribed. I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. It's the little things. And I'm watching my subscriptions go up on my YouTube page and then my views. And I'm still it's like way down here. It's literally way down. And by the way, how do y'all like the view here? Let me get out of the way of the party day. Yeah, those of you that follow Peter Blake and I, we were doing Buccaneer pre-half and post-game shows 5 years ago. I'm on the very stage here. We did the 2019 NFL draft when we drafted Devin White. But now, Pete, Peter, you've been down here for a minute. Peter Blake, come on down here. It's a permanent stage here because we've got so much live entertainment down here. As y'all know, I was down here just last week on a first Friday as the Rays were across the street and they beat the Yankees that night. And of course, we had Crowns, great local band Crowns in here. This stage is now permanent. And that's why when I came in today, I saw Jake and Coach, and I was like, I got to drop a show. I haven't had a chance to talk about the 2023 schedule, which dropped on Thursday. I want to talk about the Rays. Of course, 30-10, the Rays going up against the 22-18 New York Yankees. But here's the thing, guys and girls. Sugar Shane McClanahan on a mound for the good guys today. Should be a great game. Let's see. Tim Haynes says, I don't understand it either, Ray. Wait a minute, Tim. What were we talking about? Refresh me, Tim, because I'll be honest with you. They got this month, the Tampa Bay Brewing Company is the beer of the month. So this is my third Brief Donkey down here. So I know that's completely unprofessional. But when you're down here at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill, getting ready to watch the Yankees beat up all over those, getting ready to watch the Rays beat up all over those New York Yankees, you got to go ahead and keep it real. And I kept it real with a little Brief Donkey today. Love last night. Y'all go back to last Friday night, the trouble that the Rays had over across the street there when Kevin Cash gets thrown out of the game because Randy Arozarena got ran at, and then Randy had the same thing up there in New York. And by the way, I knew it. It was great because Tristan and I were watching the game last night, and Arozarena goes running out there in left field, and he literally runs out and dives for that ball, and makes the most fantastic catch, which is exactly what you'd expect to see from the World Baseball Classic MVP, and that is Randy Arozarena. But, of course, it was there on the top 10 sports plays last night at ESPN. what homers are we, right? I mean, it's the little things. We're doing great, best team in baseball, 20 games above 500, but you get one of those top 10 plays, and you're like, huh, yeah, that's how it is. Tim Haynes says, Atlanta. Yeah, right. Okay, no, thank you, Tim. Because, so we're supposed to just go. Peter Smith and the rest of the National Football League universe says the Buccaneers are now 31st in the league in power rankings. Which, by the way, I get it. Peter King, of course. That guy was writing for SI way back when I was a knee-high to a grasshopper, and I used to every Tuesday morning. Man, I remember every Tuesday running out to the mailbox, waiting for that Sports Illustrated. That was the first. Other than the Columbia Records, right? Which, guys and girls, those of you are too young to know. Those of you that do know sorry, this is a terrible look for me. But the Columbia House Records. But my very first subscription I had for anything was my Sports Illustrated, and I couldn't wait for Tuesdays. But yeah, Atlanta, and again, don't forget now. Arthur Smith makes his bones, if you will, there in Tennessee with the tight ends and what they were doing there. And he comes down here now, and he's the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. And now you got Kyle Pitts, and of course they pick up Jonnu Smith, who the Patriots let go. The Patriots just last offseason signed Jonnu, big tight end contract. He was going to be one of their big twin towers, but now the Atlanta Falcons have him in there. And also the Atlanta Falcons, they've got a gritty defense, if you will, but I don't know why all of a sudden. I guess you got to pick somebody. From my standpoint, it's which of the other three teams in the NFC South are the Buccaneers' biggest rivals. But if you listen to Peter King and the rest of the National Football League, think about it. If the Bucs are 31st in power rankings right now, think about this for a second. That means whatever buffoonery that went into that prediction to put the Bucs at 31 in power rankings, that means they're automatically predicting the Bucs to finish 4th in the NFC South. So you're picking a rookie quarterback in Bryce Smith. He's 4'2", got a great. No, I'm kidding. I'm just messing around. You got a rookie quarterback and a rookie coach there in Carolina with a pretty darn good defense and a dang good offensive line. You got Arthur Smith and the Atlanta Falcons with a second-year Kyle Ritter now quarterback as they continue to 2 years away from the Matt Ryan experience. And then you also have with the Saints, Dennis Allen bringing in Derek Carr and what's going on with Alvin Kamara. But all of those train wrecks, all of those, problems. Peter King says Bucs are 31st in the NFL in power rankings. So Peter King automatically puts the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, and the New Orleans Saints ahead of the Bucs. So here's the thing: as we get more and more data, and we, looking at things and analyzing things, sometimes it's easy to say, well, the Buccaneers lost Tom Brady, and they had no offense, they had no running game in 2023. So inevitably, they have to suck in 2022. I'm sorry. So inevitably, the Buccaneers have to suck in 2023. What kind of logic is that? If you're going to do an offhanded statement, if somebody hits me up, if somebody walks up here right now, and if somebody walked up here right now on the stage and said, "What do you think about the Indianapolis Colts?" I'd look at them and go, Richardson, Steichen. They're going to have I don't know much, but I'm going to try. I'm not going to automatically say they're rebuilding, so it puts them 4th in the AFC South, or, I put the Tennessee Titans ahead of them because, Henry's still back there and Ryan. See, I'm not going to jump to those conclusions, and I'm not saying Peter King jumps to the conclusions, but for him to offhandedly say the Buccaneers are 31st in power rankings, and I'm not taking red backside to that because I'm offended. There was a time and place for that in my younger years where I would look and go, oh, yeah, okay, Jack Thompson is our quarterback, and, we have no talent over here, or, we drafted Bo Jackson, and he wasn't going to come here, and he didn't. I can look for – so over the years, I'd look at it, and they'd say, well, the Bucs they're the 28th out of 28 teams, which we had back then, not 32. Or the Buccaneers are the worst in the NFC Central behind the Bears, Packers, Vikings, Lions. I get those every year, but even as Bucs fans, we'd still go, but wait a minute. Well, we got James Wilder, or we've got Lars Tate, or, we've got Horace Copeland, or maybe Lamar Thomas gets off, or, maybe Ron Hall, the great tight end, went going to play for the Lions. We had a reason to try. But what I'm talking about with this squad, this Buccaneers team in 2023, just 3 years removed from Super Bowl 55, but you're still talking about the veterans on offense. The veterans in receiving core alone, our offensive line back healthy, bringing back in a Ryan Jensen and a Mock, moving Tristan Wirfs over left tackle, and the things that Jason Light's doing with this team. It's not just me standing up for my team because I'm a Bucs fan. It's me looking at the facts and saying, you know what, Peter King? I'm not going to buy into the fact that the Buccaneers are the 31st team in the NFL in power rankings because it's not true. I can name 6 teams offhand that are definitely less talented, a lot more rebuilding to go, and aren't in any kind of position as the Bucs. Now, you make the Bucs the 31st power rankings. Now think about this, okay? There's Peter King. He's at home. And I don't mean to pick on you, Peter, but I'm going to use you because, your name is out there. You're coming up, well, I'm analyzing all 32 teams. And you're like, okay, Dallas is going to be great because, CeeDee Lamb's back and they exercised the 5th year and Pollard's the running back. And the Eagles are going to be great because Jalen's still going to get off and they still look, Brown looks great. So you get all the way down to the end and you're like, the Buccaneers. Well, they lost Tom Brady. They're playing a first-place schedule. Let me hedge my bets. Put him at number 31. The odds are forever in my favor because they're going to play a first-place schedule and they don't have the greatest of all time. That almost appears to me, that feels to me like what was done here. For you to offhandedly say the Bucs are 31st in the league in power rankings, and I'm like, well, why? Because we've got Mike Evans and Chris Godwin and Gage, Russell, and because we've got a second-year tight end, Kate Otten, and Ko Keith who's getting nasty, and because our offensive line is healthy, and because our defense is looking good, and we got Shaq Barrett, by the way, again, terrible news. So sorry to the entire Barrett family and friends. I'm so sorry about what happened to y'all. Our thoughts and prayers were and still continue to be with you. But this defense, and as Jason Light refortifies his defense through the draft, and our secondary, which is actually probably one of the, I said this the other night when I was talking to Peter Blake on that draft show on Thursday night. Somebody called in, I forget who it was. It may have been, I forget who it was, but they were like, oh, the Buccaneers should address the secondary through the draft. Oh, dogfight. Should address the secondary through the draft. And I'm like, wait a minute. Winfield, we've actually, our secondary and what we have right now, probably the best shape we've been in from a standpoint of the guys that play together, veterans there, still got a little bit of talent over there. McCollum still got a little bit of up and coming, but yet been together long enough now, and you put that pressure up front, and you have those linebackers and the pressure the Buccaneers are going to put against all the offenses they face, that secondary is going to get fed. They're going to get some catches. They're going to get some interceptions this year. So, the 31st overall I thought was a bit premature, but, that's just me. Tim Haynes says, I see nothing special happening in Atlanta. Again, except for the tight ends. And again, I'm not, Arthur Smith wanted to get his tight ends. The reason why they draft Kyle Pitts out of Florida in the first. The reason why they bring in Jonnu Smith and Calvin Ritter. Is it Ritter, right? Not Calvin. But he was an 18th year veteran out of Cincinnati playing for the Bearcats. And I like this kid's veteran leadership. And last year was his rookie season. Still, I think he's went like 100 and something passes without throwing an interception, but he's also went quite a few without throwing a touchdown, which tells me he's a very conservative quarterback, which tells me he's going to use his tight ends, Jonnu Smith and Kyle Pitts, which tells me that the Buccaneers are going to have to play that offense decent. So, yeah, I mean, I get what Atlanta's doing. I see what Arthur Smith's going to do here. I understand the concepts they're building there in Atlanta, but for all of a sudden, for them to be, I mean, there are some people already out there that are pretty much handing the NFC South to the Atlanta Falcons. And we're still, we're just barely getting to OTAs. So I'm like, whoa, slow your roll a little bit. Everybody wants to be the first one to the party with the news, but sometimes being first, maybe not as important as being right, which is what you try to get here on Cup of Ray on a Saturday from down here. Again, thanks to the staff out here at the world famous First Sports Bar and Grill down here on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the edge district of St. Petersburg. Tim, come down here, and then my boy Mickey, come down here, and we'll have a party. We'll sit up on the stage here, and you guys will see how we do the parties down here, Tampa Bay style. Mickey, there you are, Mickey. Mickey says, now, when the Mariners play the Rays, I hope the Rays lose. Okay, and I'll give you this, Mickey. I'm a Mariners fan going way back. Ken Griffey Jr., they were actually called the Seattle Pilots at one point, or they had a baseball team called the Seattle Pilots. I would be remiss if I told you, Mickey, that I don't feel the exact opposite, that I hope that when we play you and when we play the Mariners, I hope the Rays get off. But that's what being fans of our teams are all about. But that's why this medium right here, us getting together in a neutral zone, which if you will, is the Cup of Ray, bring it all. Because you got some shows out there that'll be like, oh, this guy's an Atlanta Falcons fan, or oh, this guy's a Braves fan. No. we're sports fans. We're just here to talk about sports on a Saturday, getting ready for the Rays-Yankees game, starting up here in just a few minutes, getting ready for the OTAs, getting ready for the hockey. How about the Seattle Kraken, Mickey? You're a Kraken fan, right? Mickey also says, hi, Greg Maselli. How are you? Man, I love it. Everyone up in here. Trying to think about what I was going to talk about. So going back to the schedule again. So I'll be honest with you. This schedule, it gets released on Thursday because I knew that we knew the teams the Bucks were going to play on this 2023 schedule. We knew what winning the NFC South in 2022 meant. It's slotted, right? It's literally the same as like your rookie, your draft picks out of college. He's a first round pick. It's 4 years. You can exercise the 5th year option. This is a slotted, this is how it slots out. So, maybe it takes away a little bit of that. Well, what's going to happen? We knew the Buccaneers are going to play a first place schedule in 2023, but when this schedule comes out, I predicted one Thursday night, one Sunday night, one Monday night, and then a national game of the week. Right now, it looks like all we have is the Eagles game's a 7:15 game. We play out there in San Francisco later in the season. It's a 4 o'clock game. Something tells me, why isn't that probably not going to be a Sunday game of the week? And then also there's one, we have the Panthers game, the very last game of the season. It's to be announced, to be determined, no date or time set, which is probably going along the same lines, but not quite as the flex scheduling. But there was one other game in here. Well, no, at Bills, 8:15. So the Bucks got the Eagles on 9:25 at 7:15, which we were trying to figure out the other day. Is that going to be because it's one of those Monday night games where there's multiple games? So, because 7:15, that's not a usual time to start for a nationally televised game, as the Bucks host those Philadelphia Eagles, and then the Bucks play in Buffalo against the Bills, which is kind of exactly how I thought it was going to go, because I still thought it was one Thursday, one Sunday, one Monday. And everybody's like, well, no, Peter King says the Bucks are 31st in the league in power rankings, so they should only have one nationally televised game. And I'm like, again, you discount the wide receiving core. You discount the veteran leadership on defense and offense. You discount the offensive line getting healthy. You discount Baker Mayfield now and Kyle Trask battling for that quarterback position. You discount a lot of things. If you discount the Buccaneers and say they're the 31st team, they don't deserve any nationally televised game, not only did you phone it in, but you phoned it into the wrong number. You actually called the wrong number. Oh, the Rays game's on now. Wow. Well, that Tampa Bay Brewing Company, Reef Donkey, goes down awfully smooth. But I knew we were going to have that first place schedule. We knew that the Bucks were playing Green Bay. We knew we were going to play the Titans. We knew we were going to play the Eagles. So we had our first place schedule. But the way this schedule lays out, and please, girls and guys out there, you tell me. I see the 2 home, 2 away, 2, and then toward the end of the season we play more. I see the construct of the schedule, if you will, but it's not as intimidating as it was before they announced it on Thursday. Because, again, I knew all the teams were going to play. Even that 4 o'clock game out there on November 18th against the 49ers. Excuse me one second. I should not drink beers that fast. Even that 4 o'clock game out against the 49ers, it's, of course, that's their place. And you go back to last season, and Tom was still going through some real stuff. And this offense couldn't. And that was the one thing. As much as we hated the fact that the 49ers, they lose Brock Purdy there in the playoffs against the Eagles. So they're basically, and they put Josh Johnson back in there, and the kid couldn't raise his arm above his shoulder. So, you saw the fact that the 49ers, they did not have a quarterback. So they were playing with basically, I think Deebo Samuel makes the comparison of playing with 10 players. You go back to when the Bucks went out there, because you're like, okay, this is Tom's visiting the 49ers. This is the team, of course, Tom Brady grew up rooting for Joe Montana and Dwight Clark and the catch, and his mom had him at that game against the Cowboys from San Mateo. And then Tom goes out there and lays just an egg. And it wasn't so much Tom Brady laid an egg, the entire team laid an egg. I'm just waxing here, but I'll go ahead and tell you all, guys and girls, that going back to that game, I'm just glad that Tom took that with class. And what I mean by that is he actually signed the football on the internet. I don't know if he knew that football, that the one he signed was the one that was intercepted against him. But, we saw how Tom was a gamer, and Tom didn't like to lose. It's one of the reasons why I think Tom worked as hard as he did and played as hard as he did not to lose, because he didn't like to lose. go back to last year's game against those 49ers, and, it's Tom, it's hometown. That may have had something to do with the reason why he stays classy, but he stayed classy, took it with a little bit of class, and I was appreciative of that. But this week now, all of a sudden, Mark Davis and now Tom Brady, and they're talking about possibly Tom Brady having some ownership stake in those Las Vegas Raiders. And some people pose, well, Fox has already came out and said, well, we don't have a problem with the fact that maybe Tom Brady could be a partial, because let's be honest, we're talking about $6 billion for these teams. And as much as Tom made over his career, and as much alimony as he's getting from Giselle after the divorce, I'm kidding. But, all he can afford is a minority stake in those Las Vegas Raiders, if you will. But I would pose again, I kind of had that issue, and I'm just waxing here as I'm waiting for some more comments, guys and girls. Oh, wait. Dude, there are more comments. I'm so sorry. Mike Hughes says, Bedard to the Chicago Blackhawks. I'm telling you what. You see what happened there? Mike, after the moment that they signed Bedard, the moment that they draft Bedard, ticket sales go up. All the short-term sales go up. The Blackhawks now are going to be a sellout. That price of ticket for those tickets for the season. And I tell you what, love the Lightning. We can talk about Chicago Blackhawks. And tell me, you guys and girls, your comments on this. The Chicago Blackhawks, best sweater in all of hockey. Best sweater, best jersey in the entire NHL. The old Chicago Blackhawks. And Bedard gets drafted number 1 overall, or he's going to be drafted. He's become a Chicago Blackhawk. Ticket sales through the roof. So the Blackhawks fans are getting excited. And why wouldn't you, kid? This Bedard kid is fantastic. Mike Hughes says, see you in Tampa. Mike, look me up. Yeah, when the Bears come to town. Mike, when you come down, you, me, we get Harry the Greek, 1252 Sports. We'll lock it down, do a little pregame big party, put it all out there for the entire world to see, because what do we have to lose? And I'd like to meet your brother in person, because Lord knows I love your stuff, love following you. It'd be great to do something live together, man. Let's get gritty with it. But don't forget, that's the second game of the year. And mind you, I grew up 76, 77, 79, 80. I grew up going and watching, Sweetness, Walter Payton. I grew up watching, and I'll tell this story again for those of you maybe Bears, Blackhawks fans that are in here. We had our seats right there in the north end zone, 14 rows up, center of the uprights. Over the years, caught quite a few footballs that would just clear the net and fair catch. But I had a chance. It was a little bit less later in the game, and there wasn't as big a crowd there that day. We hosted Chicago. I walked around the left side and got on the east side on the 10-yard line, and I kid you not. And you go back and find the tapes, and maybe you guys, Bears fans out there, you guys already know this. Walter Payton comes running around the right side on a sweep, and he dives from the 10-yard line. And I kid you not, I will go to the grave that it was exactly like the Michael Jordan threw the key from the foul line. As he's going, he actually gains altitude. And you're like, literally how? And to this day, I'm trying to figure out, how is this possible? I know how it's possible, because Michael Jordan was the greatest of all time. Threw the key and goes and gets in without in the air. Gains altitude as he slams that dunk. Saw the same thing with Sweetness. Walter Payton brings her on end around, dives from just inside the 10-yard line, and dove and actually gained altitude as he crossed the goal line, and the Bears scored that touchdown against the Bucs that day. That's a memory that I've always cherished, and I'm glad I have, to have been able to see probably the greatest football player of all time. And the reason why I say that is the beating Walter Payton took, and the smile, I never saw a smile on his face, reminded me so much of a Ricky Bell, reminded me so much of a James Wilder. Running backs, but those are Bucs running backs, guys that would take a licking and keep on ticking. Never saw Walter Payton not smiling. One of the greatest, if not the greatest players I had a chance to see personally play in person, and I cherish that memory forever. Mickey Delaney says, yes, I am. Kraken has a big today at home against down 3-2. And I love the Kraken. The Kraken had that nice, they get a nice, they have a nice draft for a expansion draft. They put a good team together. Love the Kraken colors. Always thought Seattle. Loved the Seattle Kraken. I love this whole, bring back the Supersonics. Seattle they got the Seahawks. You got the Kraken. Had you lose the Supersonics, bring back Sean Kemp and those Supersonics. But yeah, good luck to your Kraken today, there, Mickey. Tim Haynes says, I went to the game of Frisco last year. Okay, Tim. So yeah, you probably, Tim. Then no doubt. I hope you'll agree with me the fact that Tom took that one pretty well, didn't he? Because we're all like waiting to see Tom explode, got their asses handed to them. Let's call it like we see it, and we saw it. The Bucks got their butts handed to them last year. This year, I don't see that happening. I think that because here's the thing, the reason why I don't see that happening is I'm not saying the Buccaneers should handily beat those 49ers this year because they still got one of the best. What they're doing out there, what Kyle Shanahan and what John Lynch and what the 49ers have done, they put together a pretty damn good team. But again, it all comes down for me in 2023 with that running game the Buccaneers are going to have, with the offensive line, the road graders downfield. Someone asked me, Donovan Smith. And of course, he was Jameis Winston's backside dance partner. They draft down Donovan in the second round after Jameis #1 overall there in 2015. And I always like that. Jason Light, best general manager in all of football. You draft your left tackle so he gets to know your franchise quarterback. Drafted them both the same year. Why Donovan Smith this year? Because, maybe Tristan Wirfs wasn't going to move over there. Maybe they don't have a full plan there. But one of the problems I had, and I hear it agree, you and I are going to agree to disagree. I'm not saying Donovan would drop it on a run play. I never saw Donovan Smith get downhill. He was just never a road grader. And that was probably because he had to be too good on polar bear on roller skates as he tried to get back, blocking against insert left tackle or left end here, because we see Donovan so many times, especially in 2022 with the holding calls. The reason why you're seeing this, what you're going to see from this Buccaneers off Cody Mock, what you're going to see from this offensive line, Ryan Jensen back and Tristan Wirfs, what you're going to see here with Luka Decky, road graders. You're going to see horses that are going to get to the next level, knocking guys on their backside, pancakes, but making lanes for the running game. The reason why I think the Buccaneers could not anywhere near get embarrassed like they did last season there out in San Francisco at Levi Stadium versus those 49ers is because this year we have a running game. So even if they're still dominating, which every bit possibility they can, I don't see it. I love the Bucs. I'm a Bucs fan. I can tell you 7 ways to Sunday why the Bucs should beat the Niners, and we'll start it off right now by saying handing the keys to Brock Purdy, Trey Lance on the backside, Sam Darnold, maybe your starting quarterback. I mean, we all talk about the fact that Kyle Shanahan's a wizard, and the guy is a wizard, going back to Mike Shanahan, his dad, with that zone blocking scheme and the type of offense he runs. We saw it last season. Mr. Irrelevant steps in there and gets the Niners all the way to the NFC Championship game. Fact of the matter is, I don't know. I'm not a Brock Purdy guy yet. I like the narrative, Mr. Irrelevant. I like Ryan Suckup, Mr. Irrelevant, a little bit more. Mickey says, Mike Hughes, where are your Blackhawks today? I forgot. They're at home. Oh, talking some smack up in here. Okay. Hey, do it. Quick update. Looks like we're in the top of the second. And who was that? Just had a base hit. Move over to third. All right, the Rays have first and second, no outs in the top of the second. And it looks like, oh, is that Luke Wall? Oh, Tyler Wall's up the bat. Okay. Sorry. Again, a few things that stick out about the schedule until y'all have any comments. Let me get that smack off the screen here. Okay, Tennessee at the Bucs in November. All right, by then, here's the thing that scares me about that game. November, Raymond James Stadium, good weather. Derrick Henry comes in here healthy. Of course, they're going to lean on the horse. But the Buccaneers, that defense will be predicated upon stopping Henry and then also keeping Ryan Tannehill from running that play-action passing. Then, I didn't putt at that time. Pause down. Again, the Lions game is going to be gritty. They play here in Tampa on October 15th. A week later, it's the Falcons. The Bucs out there in Houston against, I think it's the first time the Buccaneers have played there at Energy Stadium against those Houston Texans. See what happens there, Houston. Really, that's about it. What time is it anyway? Oh, yeah, it's 1:26. So I wasn't sure how long I was going to go today, but I just wanted to go ahead. I was down here again. I'm going to be on the radio here with Mike Rickard and the boys with the Tampa St. Pete Sports Connection. And I was like, the Rays are coming. Okay, so Rays have first and second, counts 1-1. There's 16 seconds left on the pitch clock. I'm going to give you this play-by-play. Cortez looks over to second, goes into his windup. Taylor Walls to the plate. Taylor Walls, a base hit. This has got to be a base hit. Yes, sir. Base hit. Runs. Rays score. Run. Yes, sir. Randy Rosarina rounds third, goes home. The Rays will have first and second. 1 run, no outs here in the top of the second. You tell me that guy ain't locking it down. I'm going to cut that up. That's going to be my audition tape. But, yeah, of course, the Rays just doing what they do, continuing to make and produce that offense. And we saw it last night. course, Rizzo gets that hit late in the game. And, here's the thing. I want the Rays to win every game. But when Rizzo gets the big hit last night and puts the Yankees up and they end up going out and they shut the Rays down 3 up, 3 down in the ninth and they win that game. I'm also, because I'll be honest with you, just this week I was talking to my guy Kevin. He's a big Yankees fan. I'm like, Yankees always seem to pay these guys big contracts when it's too late. They pay Rizzo, former Cub. They give him the big contract, and he's got the bat. He chokes up the way he does, but doesn't seem like he's really. And of course, he comes through with that big base hit the other night. So that's what the guy's getting paid to do. I don't have a problem with that. Mickey Delaney says, "Hey, Mike Hughes, where are your Blackhawks today? I forgot they're at home. I just wanted to go ahead and rewind. Oh, by the way, Yank and Crank, y'all. I gotta keep saying it. This is actually look at the back of my shirt. So this is the Yank and Crank. This is literally the most conservative shirt they have, but it's also one of my favorites. It doesn't actually come across here, I'm sure, on the show, but it actually the graphics are done on Yank and Crank, yankandcrank.com. You don't have to be a fan of fishing. You don't have to be just a fan of great clothes, but very elite. If you're a fan of fishing or the lifestyle with the fishing, the beach, boats rocking, little pieces of, little metal flanges tapping off of the poles on your sailboats as they bob up and down a marina, or you're just an aggressive, extreme fishing fan and you like to yank and then crank and then yank and then crank as you land that kingfish or that big grouper. Shout out to my boy Tim Hughes and his son Timmy. Big gag grouper the other day they put on. That had to be my guy Mike who. Anyway, he's like, that had to be $1,000 fish. You're talking about by the pound, what goes for these grouper. They were out here in the deeps out here in this Gulf of Mexico locking it down. But shout out to the staff, all the crew there at Yank and Crank, because I'll tell you what, just the most phenomenal. I love this shirt. I could dance in this shirt, but buried elite. I also love the graphics. This, again, is that 3D kind of a that lady. Does that lady back there know she's on air? I just realized she's looking. Oh, she's waiting for her. Got to bring it ring. But yeah, shout out to the crew at Yank and Crank. So talked about the Bucs schedule. Talked about the Rays. Oh, okay. So now there's 2 outs, runner on third. They must have got somebody stealing, and now it's 0-1 to Jose Siri. But there was something else I wanted to talk about that was in sports. That was something that was going on. It wasn't basketball, baseball, NFL schedule. Really, that's about it. I mean, I wasn't planning on going too long today. I appreciate y'all stopping by. Again, I want to thanks to the sponsor, Yank and Crank, yankandcrank.com. Go check it out. Go check out their phenomenal gear, the hats, the koozies, the shirts, everything. Wild Bill. Tell them a couple Rays sent you. Appreciate that. Again, thanks to the entire staff out here at the world-famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. Having a great Saturday. Hope you guys find your beach. It's Mother's Day weekend. Make sure you reach out and let somebody know how much you care about them, because you guys know, we know May's Mental Health Awareness Month, but you guys and girls know how in every one of these things. Everyone needs to know someone cares. This weekend, Mother's Day weekend, whatever you got going on, take the time and let them know that you're the one who cares about them, because sometimes, I tell you guys and girls, someday it's going to come back just like it went out, and it's going to be the right time. And man, does that feel good. Thanks for joining me for a quick little pop-up Cup of Ray here. And have a great weekend. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time on a Cup of Ray.